Good morning. We take advantage of the fact that it's the weekend. The whole team is already home, so the workshop is quiet. Rafael dropped by to record a few shots and let you see what's going on behind the scenes at our manufactura. The weeks are very intense. We work a lot on new machines. This week, one of the Hunter versions was launched at the beginning. Now the Fat Rack version is ready, which we will take down in a moment, because we need to do a few kilometers of such testing. In our workshop, when we assemble a bike, we often test each one before we put all the components in. For example, by putting them on a test board with a current load, to make sure that when the machine is assembled, we won't have any so-called fuck-ups and we won't be surprised by any electronic component that arrives from our supplier and has a defect, for example. We want to avoid these flaws early on, so we do double checking, one before assembly and the other after the trike is assembled. We take it for a few kilometers to check if everything works fine. Come on, I'll show you what interesting things have been built now. This is the Fat Trike version with 2 batteries. Both batteries are quite powerful, as we increase the capacity to almost 46 ampere hours, giving the vehicle a long range. But here our client, who is from France because the machine will be traveling to that country, decided to tow a caravan behind it. This trailer will be very specific. It will be very long. So we had to prepare cables of appropriate resistance that will pull the lighting system to the rear of the trailer, and we will also install additional lighting and additional turn signals there, which will allow us to create a full outline of the vehicle. For the fact that it will be carrying a trailer, the engine has already been prepared with a dedicated, specially widened axle that will enable the trailer to be attached on one side. This is not the first such implementation. We also have a client in Switzerland who is already driving his mini camper over the next few kilometers. Rally shows us photos, so we have quite a lot of fans of this one, and we see that Deckers is a perfect fit for this kind of expedition tourism, but in a slightly more exclusive form, because these campsites are starting to become fashionable. If someone visits TikTok, they can see that these types of devices are appearing. As far as the assembly itself is concerned, we have to assemble the second package, which is made in such a way that we have special hooks here. So the package can be disassembled. I mean, it's quite quick to install, but it's made with quick-release fasteners. Here we have milled special recesses into the aluminum hooks, because if the screw were to become loose, it would additionally protect the package from being torn off in some unusual situation. A hole, a hit, something like that. So we assemble the package. The package is sitting there. Here we have quick closers. On the other side, we lock it with a key and tighten it. Okay, well, you can.
Okay.
Fine. Here they use a quick closer. You need to remember to tighten everything with the appropriate force later. Then this package sits very stably. Here we have the entrance to the charging socket. Each package is charged separately with a separate charger. We could combine packages, but for security reasons, we decided not to combine them, because here we have 2 BMS systems. Each one works separately, so we mostly drive on one battery. We have a special toggle switch used from a motorboat, so we have a very high current load that we can throw at this switch. Once we use up the power from one battery, we can then switch to the second battery. This also provides some functionality, because we used special BMSs here, so-called bidirectional ones. Thanks to this, we can simultaneously draw current from this BMS and this battery and charge it at the same time. So for example, if our client decides they'd like to install a solar panel on such a large trailer to recharge the battery, this gives us the functional option of having the batteries work exactly like that, meaning they can also act as a buffer that allows us to further increase the range, because we can produce electricity from the photovoltaic panels and charge it directly into the battery. Here we have an additional current output for the rear wiring. We did a test for a few days to get these turn signals working, so we are sure that everything synchronizes nicely with each other. The turn signal switch will be located on the steering wheel, so everything will be nicely aligned and within reach. We start dropping the machine and go for test. And before we take this trike off-road, we'll show you something new that just arrived in our workshop. If anyone visits my TikTok, they might see that I've recently been threading hand-threaded bushings. And now we've moved on to something very interesting, a threading machine, which has really sped up our work on bushings, for example, which we then assemble in the welding shop to the full suspension system and attach rod ends to. So it sped up our work. Mateusz comes here after work and helps us with our work, so a lot is happening. And the machine has really sped up our production process. And now I'll show you something pre-premiere. I won't tell you what it is yet, because we're curious if you can guess. So let me know in the comments your ideas on what it could be. We're curious if you have any suggestions. What part is this? Initially, in our workshop, the trike did 7 kilometers on the dynamometer, where we checked the basic parameters. Now, during a trip, we sometimes cover anywhere between 10 and 15 kilometers of this initial testing. Then we have more information about whether everything is working properly and how it behaves. And what we leave to the customer when it comes to preparing for driving is removing the protective film from the display. Looks beautiful. Well, these fat trike versions are something amazing. With this power and parameters, you can enjoy great touring, and there is no shortage of what you need. And it doesn't lack what's important: good torque. And this is how we get off the three-wheeler. It is the most convenient. Great, we have a few things to finalize. We will definitely be returning to the workshop. I noticed a few more little things, so we'll work it all out. Later we leave again. And this is what the final process looks like, which is actually the most enjoyable stage of assembling this three-wheeler. A short ride, verification of all the elements, and then it can go to the customer. We wanted to take advantage of the situation and do a nice photo session and a few recordings, but the rain caught up with us, so we have some drying time ahead of us. Thank you so much for spending this short moment with us so that you could see what's going on in our workshop. This machine is already leaving at the end of this week, and next week, another beautiful series begins, because there are some interesting gems coming out. But thanks a lot for seeing the incredible potential in fat trikes, because the fact is that most of the orders that are coming in right now are for these vehicles. So see you in the next episode. I hope you're already on the road. Take care. Hi.